Yo, what's going on, guys? Jay here, and today I got for you a review for Teezo Touchdown's debut album, How Do You Sleep at Night? Teezo Touchdown, as an artist, is someone that's kind of a mixed bag all over the place, someone who spent the last couple of years building their brand as being a very versatile, can't be boxed into musical artist that's kind of on their own creative wave, doing their own thing, very eccentric, very bubbly personality and very flamboyant. Teezo has his own style and he's really doing his own thing in terms of where he is musically. You could see that as, at least for me, my first exposure to him was when he was featured on Run It Up by Tyler, the Creator. And personally, I love that song. And right from there, you could see that he's a different type of artist. I was lucky enough to see him live when he opened up for Tyler at the Call Me If You Get Lost tour at Madison Square Garden. He was a great performer. I enjoyed his set very much. I really wanted to like this album because I've been enjoying what Teezo's been doing, especially after his great feature on the Travis album on Modern Jam. But I'll be honest with you guys, this is not going to be an overly positive review for me, as much as I have been waiting for this album, and I've really been excited to hear Teezo see what his first vision for an album really would be. The intro track, Okay, is a boastful punk rockish type banger. I'll say it now. Teezo's music is obviously very hard to pin down into genres at points. Me personally, in terms of the different subgenres of like pop and rock and all the other stuff going on here, I'm not too well versed in, so I'm just speaking from my own personal experiences and what I perceive these different genres to be. But like, if I'm wrong, if I'm completely whiffing on it, correct me in the comments, enlighten me. This is a super I don't give a fuck, I'm doing me type anthem, and we get Teezo just proclaiming he's gonna do what he doesn't care what anyone thinks, and he's gonna do whatever he wants, and all this super fucking outlandish shit he's gonna do. He's going on to drop the bars, middle of the winter, I feel like swimming, middle of the summer, I want to wear a coat. Now, of course, this is just like, this is so far outside of the established social norms we have that it's even crazy to think that Teezo Touchdown doesn't care enough to do such a nuts thing. Like, honestly, this track is like mostly a joke and other very cringy cliches like that one, to be honest. But in terms of the actual sonics, we get some pretty awkward auto-tune singing portions from Teezo Touchdown, as well as some really great ones, especially on the chorus, which overall is pretty great. Skeletal electric guitar and drum instrumental. Although there's some building and crescending throughout the actual song itself, it still does get repetitive pretty quickly, and it doesn't do much for me. Just in terms of its progression, it does try to be pretty dramatic, and they have this very rugged energy to it. This very rugged rock star energy, and again, it just doesn't do it for me. We also get some more extremely questionable writing here when he's singing. He might sing a song with all the wrong notes, although he doesn't say note. There is a piano key played instead of the word notes, but obviously the word is implied. Don't tell me how to sing. You didn't help me write the song. Does anyone want to sing along? And this string of lyrics is, again, just super, I don't know, this song in general to me feels like it's really pandering to directionless 13-year-olds who are out here confused about life or whatever, and this is the type of shit that, inspires them when you're in 6th or 7th grade or whatever, and you hear what Teezo's saying here, you're like, oh yeah, this guy's really out there. He's really, shaking it up. Overall, Okay is a corny, safe, fake edgy, fake weird, honestly garbage intro to this album. That this song, again, feels so plasticky and corporate. I feel like this song could have been, the writing here could have been done by a chatbot if you made it listen to 500 hours of the corniest 2000s tween pop rock around. Anyways, moving on to the following track, You Thought, which was the first and only single released before the album, featuring Janelle Monáe, who is the only feature on the record. And this track is a little bit weird because it starts off super raw and aggressive with this dark and off-putting instrumental, and again, this really awkward and fake menacing rapping and delivery from Teezo. But then about a minute 30 into this song, we get a switch for the better, because this part was really just sucking and has no purpose being attached to the rest of the song, which is otherwise beautiful, to be honest with you guys. We get to see Teezo Touchdown and Janelle Monáe do it beautifully over a nice little guitar ballad. They sing about trying to save a failing relationship, wondering how they got to this point, and both singers here are putting their full vocal range and capabilities on display, giving some incredible performances, with this being a moment that highlights Teezo's true potential and what he could do as an artist. Teezo also doesn't use much auto-tune or vocal effects here, and he sounds way better without them. Throughout this album, he messes around with his vocal effects a lot, and the more raw his vocal sounds, the better they are to me. I think when he's using his naked voice, or at least as close to it gets, because I feel like Teezo is someone who uses hella vocal effects, at least it sounds like. That's when he's at his best, when he is not doing all that. The following is another edgy punk rock-ish type song with some super hypnotic bass and synths in the background. And yeah, this is one of the better songs on this album, with again this amazing beat and the way it progresses. And then at multiple points in the song, this super heavy instrumental stops and breaks for a second and turns into this angelic and operatic guitar ballad, which features, again, some incredible raw singing from Teezo. Genuinely one of his best performances on the record. Like on You Thought, and as well as some other tracks on the album, Teezo displays this ability, and not ability, but this willingness to just throw random song concepts and parts together that don't belong together sonically at all. I'll talk about some other points in the album, but this is what I'm talking about when I say Teezo may be trying too hard to be creative or to be different and to be out there, and it's just making bad musical decisions by matching up two completely different things that don't belong together at all, don't sound good together at all, and it just makes a lot of tracks on here that have one part that is actually really good, like the second half of You Thought, and some parts that are absolute shit. This is part of one of my problems with the album, with a lot of it just being overbaked and trying too hard to be like edgy and weird. The track Sweet to me is a pretty blatant alternative R&B Steve Lacy rip. Girl, you're so funny, I feel like I'm dating a comedian. That exact Steve Lacy inflection, the swagger and out-of-pocket lyrics that Teezo brings to this track feel like a blatant attempt to recreate. Maybe he's influenced by Steve Lacy's style a little bit, maybe a little too early to call that, but to me it just is Gemini Rice vibes throughout this whole track. We even get a Fouché feature here, and I will say her vocal contributions are great as always. She is one of the best singers in the game right now. Yeah, Sweet doesn't do it for me, and it feels like something I've heard before in a way better way. I mean, Steve Lacy season is back, guys. Impossible is a very upbeat, poppy type banger that does more or less absolutely nothing for me. I mean, it's a bland delivery and a bland instrumental. We get more examples of Teezo Touchdown's very weak songwriting on a track like Neighborhoods, where he raps back streets, hot streets, cold streets, man, all I know is streets, where it's like, how you gonna rhyme streets 4 times in a row with bars that mean pretty much absolutely nothing? I mean, these are just words, and I know this is obviously like a faster flowing rhyme scheme type thing where, you know, he's not saying a lot, but this is literally just like nothing. You know, there's nothing of substance here, no explanation. What is a hot street that calls, like, what is bro talking about here? I Don't Think You See Me is another one of these tracks that feels like 2 different songs stuck together for the sake of having multiple far apart genres and vibes on the same song, just to, seem like you're doing something experimental or creative, but all in all really just lessening the quality of both parts. The first half is this very poorly mixed, some deeply distorted, somber, melancholic singing from Teezo over this very skeletal and eerie acoustic guitar riff. But you could barely understand what Teezo's saying here. I understand this is probably supposed to be some type of super, sad song, maybe sad part of the album, but again, it does nothing. I could barely hear what dude is saying. But then again, halfway through it switches here, and we get this more like R&B, trap and B type instrumental. And we get some really great and eccentric singing from Teezo, singing about how he wants to be spoiled. And again, I actually really enjoyed the second half of this song. Teezo is an artist that has very high variance track presence, and this is one of the songs where it is absolutely playing into his favor. I love his swagger, his attitude, his singing, but the first half of this song is so shitty. It feels like a random demo that got thrown on. Maybe it's on there accidentally, man. Who knows? But it really brings "I Don't Think You See Me" down, and this is a track that I would like to revisit. But even if I do, I will always skip that first half. Another thing that affects into Teezo's track presence is just his overall the character he plays as a role. Because before this album dropped, there was a huge level of mystique. There was a huge level of intrigue to him, and I think that was a big draw for him wanting to find out what he's all about. Because again, super low key, but also like out there, zany, eccentric character. Musically, is on a very just different type of wave, alternative, can be biased, and very similar to an artist like Gene Dawson. And then I feel like he came through with this album and he gave us almost nothing genuine, nothing of substance. I feel like, again, it's a lot of just really shitty and simple songwriting that I feel like that is very disingenuous. I feel like Teezo is very much trying to, or at least wanted to give off this super edgy and out there vibe. And now on the album, it seems like he's kind of backtracking on being edgy and out there, and he's kind of washing it clean a little bit. Maybe to have a better mainstream chance, more marketability. And if so, good for him. But I feel like this album is missing the intensity and passion of something like his contributions to Run It Up. It's missing a delicateness of something like his performance on Modern Jam, and just in general, it's a missing personality. Because when you don't have an album as an artist, it's hard to have a personality, or have a certain have that image, how fans picture you, how the mainstream pictures you. And Teezo's is still just, I honestly is less than it ever was. I feel like he had more character to him in his music before he dropped this album. This feels very washed, clean, and safe to me. And which is a hard thing to say about an album that is trying so hard to be different and out there. But again, that's my issue. I feel like Teezo is trying too hard to be out there while also to play it safe. And you just can't pull that off. We're going to be closing out with the original was better. I think this is a prime example of pretty much what I just stated. We get this moody, angsty, and almost like attempting to be meta song, which is just like a bad sentence to even say. It's really just Teezo singing about, it's what it says, just, singing it, everyone says that the original was better, and everyone says that the beginning was better, or the end was better, or the sequel was better, and it's him running through all these different things that people say is better, and it's this or that, and I guess he's trying to be like, oh man, it doesn't matter. I don't know if this is commentary on how people should be happy with what they have, or how people are so quick to compare one thing to another. But either way, it's fucking trash, guys. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it here. I mean, this track is cliche, lame. It ends the album in honestly a fitting way, as much as it does suck to say that about Teezo. And then also at the end, this is like I said, like a moody, low-key type song. At the end, we just get these pounding, club rave party synths once he stops singing, and it's so off-putting. Just again, one of these things that is seems like it's a sonically experimental, and we're getting a Teezo throwing this EDM style music into this a more traditional a song that I would say is a lot more just simple and singing with some guitar chords based, and it's just fucking stupid. It makes no sense to me. And it doesn't sound good either. Overall, I'm disappointed, man. I mean, it's Teezo still got it. I don't want to say I'm not going to say here and make it seem like it's over. There are several moments where you could see some excellent singing capabilities and just excellent artistry and just visions in general, where you do get these super beautiful moments on tracks like You Thought and but it's just way too much here. This album is an eclectic mess of Teezo just trying to make music for as many people as he can. He's trying to cross into as many different genres and subgenres into he can, but not for not in a way that necessarily ever sounds good, just for the sake of doing it. And that's the issue that I have here. Why I say everything sounds directionless and underwritten. It's because that this really is just Teezo throwing a lot of different shit together, seeing what he does with it, and seeing how it goes, and did not go well. I'm feeling a 3.8 out of 10 for How Do You Sleep at Night. But yeah, guys, be sure to let me know what you guys think about this. This was a pretty big deal coming out after the Utopia feature, after the Drake cosign. Everyone was really hyped up for this album. It came and went, in my opinion. I've barely seen anybody talk about it, except, the occasional people who are talking about it. It's like one of the best albums ever. It's definitely not, but yeah, let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.